A very warm welcome to you, Sarthak. And I've heard a lot about your achievements over these years. I believe you're 28 years old right
Oh,
now.
yes, I am. Yes, yes.
So, Sarthak, DMD Day is coming up,
Hmm.
and DMD is a muscular dystrophy which not many people know about. Muscular dystrophies, in their own sense, people don't know about. So, can you tell us a bit more about DMD and also about your journey?
So see, DMD, it stands for Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. So there was a French doctor named Duchenne who discovered it for the first time, hence the name. Okay, so in this condition, what happens is the voluntary muscles, that is what we call as skeletal muscles, they start becoming weak. So initially, it starts with weakening of the lower limb, then upper limb, then gradually it moves on to the neck, the neck, shoulder, back, those areas, and the last place it comes to is the lungs. That is, it weakens the muscles of the lung. So that's what DMD is about. Yeah. And
Right, Sarthak. And when were you diagnosed with DMD?
see, I was diagnosed at 12 years of age. That is when the biopsy was taken and it was confirmed that it was Duchenne's. But the symptoms I was having since around, I would say, when I was in second standard or so, it would
And
be,
what were the symptoms like?
see, initially the symptoms were like I used to have a slight difficulty in walking and I used to fall without any reason. So I used to get hurt quite a bit. Yeah, so it was diagnosed as DMD when I was 12 years old. Okay, that is through biopsy. But symptoms I was having since I would say first or second standard. That would be around 6 to 7 years of age. So I observed that I was walking on the toes and used to suddenly. Okay, it would happen maybe once or twice a month. So, and at times I would get badly injured. Like, for example, I remember my second standard picnic. So I was literally bruised, but that kind of thing. That is how it started. Okay, then it
Hmm.
proved to difficulty in climbing steps.
Hmm.
Usually when we climb steps, we climb like straight, right? Holding one hand on the railing and climb. But I had to use both hands on the railing and climb up. Okay. And later it progressed to such an extent that my friends had to lift my leg and keep it on top. Okay. So around that time, I was one fine day, I just took my bag and was going home. I suddenly felt, very difficult to hold the bag, and I felt I needed to sit down. Okay, I sat down for around 5 minutes. Then I tried thrice, I tried 4, 5 times, but still I wasn't able to get up. So the school authorities had to call my mom. She also couldn't help me. So with the help of another 4, 5 people, they had to lift me. So that was the last time I could walk. Okay. And that time I was studying in a CBSE school. And it was their duty to actually support me. See, whenever a child has different needs, I feel the school has to support, but they didn't support me at all. So, like, I was for 6 months without a school. It's so the COVID is almost a repeat of that. Like, where we are at home only, not able to go out.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
So yeah. Please continue. Yes.
yeah, so I wasn't even allowed to write the exam, the seventh standard final exam at that time. Okay, so my mom searched all around Bangalore for a school, but most of the schools were on first floor or second floor, where it was like very difficult to take me. So we found a school called ASM High School. It was a state board school, and the principal was very nice. So she, for my entire 7th standard, she shifted the class to the ground floor. Okay, so that's how it started. And then, I mean, gradually it started attacking my hands as well. Like, see, in the sense, before I could eat by myself, do most of the activities, I would even play keyboard. Okay, I've given, I think, around 10 or so programs in the keyboard, but now that also isn't being possible. And with that, gradually, it's my neck muscles also have started getting weak. And slowly, it's progressing more and more towards the lung muscle. But I have to do spirometry regularly to prevent that. Okay, and also currently there's no cure for this Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. So relying on physiotherapy. Okay, that's also a bit hard because like I have to do physio daily, and you know how difficult it is. Especially being in MD, it was really difficult to manage both studies as well as physio. Okay, and doing physio is like only to prevent further degeneration. So I'm used to this cycle. Like, see, your muscles degenerate, and then a bit of your strength recovers, then it further degenerates. It's like a downhill cycle. So essentially, that's what I've faced so far.
So, Sarthak, as you said that it was a bit difficult, the entire phase from diagnosis till now, especially your educational career, which is really demanding. So let's hear a bit about your educational career. Why did you decide to do psychiatry? And in terms of your studies, how did you juggle your rare disease with the demands of your academic? And what could have been much easily done for you?
Huh. Okay, so let's continue at the point where I told I was in a state syllabus school. Okay, so let's start at that point where like I was in a CBSE school and then changed into a state school. Okay, and I already told you how the principal made arrangements to shift the classroom to the ground floor. And there I was having a bit of problem with other kids. See, because in my previous school, I had known them since my kindergarten, so they were very good with me. But here I felt that people weren't actually understanding my problem, and they used to just, like a kind of mock me, that kind of thing. So initially I had a bit of problem with that. So we used to get in fights in the sense like verbal fights. I used to like tell them, don't do this, but they still continued. And by the time I came to 8th, 9th and all, I got used to it. Okay. And around that time, I met a doctor, Dr. Subbarao Belwadi. So he told me that, see, I should not bother what people say. See, because people can say whatever they want, but it need not necessarily affect me. Okay. And there he got a book, okay, where he showed me the brain and spinal cord. I was around 9th or 10th at that time. Okay. And it was like the picture of the ladle. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so
I can hear you, Sarthak. Hello?
Yeah, sure. So he got a book, okay, where he showed me the brain and spinal cord, okay. So he showed me how it looks like a ladle, the spinal cord being the handle. So ever since then, I've been interested in neuroscience related stuff. See, because it's the a brain which makes each person unique from the other, right? So the seed of like psychiatry, I think, was implanted at that time in my mind. And by the time I finished 10th, I wanted to do science. But like many people, including my parents, they said science will be very difficult for you. You can select commerce or arts where it's like physically less demanding. Okay, but in the end, they finally agreed to let me take up science. Okay, and this time I took a seat in Sheshadripuram Composite PU College. Okay, the challenge there was there were 8 steps. Okay, so somebody had to lift me up those 8 steps, and later I was able to manage everything by myself. And during experiments, I received help from my friends. And also during my final exams, rather than making me physically do it, they would just ask, like, how do you do this experiment? Like, for example, chemistry. Like, if you're doing this reaction, what do you need to add? Like, how much do you need to combine? And then we had the usual titration stuff. Then biology was, mainly to do with this one, the plant stuff, etc. Okay, and when I was in second PU, I heard about Dr. David Hartman. He was the first blind psychiatrist in the US. So reading about him inspired me. And other person who inspired me is Stephen Hawking, because he has the worst form of motor neuron. He had the worst form of motor neuron disease, but he's one of the most brilliant physicists. So that led me to think maybe a medicine is a good choice. And this time there were even more people who opposed it. They said you can't take medicine. Medicine will be very hard, because you know how life is for a doctor. Most of the time he'll be very busy. Okay, but still I felt that when I was fortunate enough to get this much education, I definitely wanted to help people like me, and also with other diseases. Okay, so I got a 4th rank in the physically challenged category, and I took up MBBS in MS Ramaya Medical College. Okay, and after I completed my first year, people were more hopeful there. Okay, so like my first year was just like a continuation from science, because it was more of the preclinical subjects, whatever we call. So that I was able to manage. But when I was in second year, we had the second year subjects, plus we started going to the clinics, like knowing how to take a patient history, analyzing the details, etc. So my plan was I would keep a daily target, and I would try to reach that. Okay, if I couldn't, then it would get carried over to the next day. So I would see to it that how much ever I could, I would do. Okay, and every day I used to keep like around 45 minutes to 1 hour of physiotherapy. Okay, and Sunday I would take a break, because it's not very easy to do physio,
Indeed.
So then I came to my internship. Internship was a bit of a challenge, because from there we need to do duties, that kind of thing. And it was like proper clinical experience we got in that. So I finished MBBS, and then I joined Kempegowda Institute of Medical Sciences in Bangalore. There I got MD Psychiatry, and this was through general merit. And here the challenges were even more tough, because in addition to updating our own clinical knowledge, we also need to see patients on a daily basis. And here, moreover, it's like you are specialized in one subject. And MBBS was more like you just needed to know like basics of every subject. So, it was like a depth, this one. But again, here, I again kept targets, for every day. And then I would do physiotherapy. And plus, my co-PGs were very nice with me. So we used to go to parties and everything. But I never missed sight of the goal. So in short, that's all I had to face.
Which is quite a lot, and still you reached the other side. And I think let's come to the most difficult part of your career till now, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. And over the last 6 months, many people who have rare diseases have been locked up in their home simply because they are more susceptible to the COVID-19 virus than many other, in quotes, normal people. How has it been, and also what are you hearing from your colleagues who are able-bodied in that sense, on and have gone off to do residency or practice?
Hmm. Like, see, at this time of the COVID pandemic, I think there's almost nobody who's not been affected by this. Okay, and as you mentioned, it's been more difficult for people with rare diseases to, get the drugs and all. There's a recent article that I had read in the Hindu saying that during the times of the lockdown, they had difficulty in getting drugs because most of them were imported, right? And as a result, some people's illness worsened, and that's what I heard. And also I feel in some aspects, like for Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, physiotherapy is a must, right? So I feel many people might not have had contact with a physiotherapist, but I was like fortunate to do it regularly. And like as far as this pandemic is concerned, like the cases are increasing like rapidly in India. So like my fellow doctors, they're having a bit of difficulty controlling it, but I still feel they're doing a really good job. And see, the COVID-19 pandemic, we call it as a stressor. So like, and people who are already vulnerable to psychiatric problems have even further, issues due to the pandemic. And heard from my colleagues, lot of depression and anxiety patients, plus also new onset psychosis and schizophrenia. Those kind of cases have become more. And see, like for it's like there was the suddenness of this COVID pandemic. On top of that, we had lockdowns, social isolation in the form of social distancing. So it's led to a lot of loneliness, isolation. And there have been a lot of studies which tell us that isolation results in reduced immunity, which can act as a predisposing factor for COVID-19. And also, you might have heard of the cytokine storm that the doctors say because of there's like a lot of these cytokines, etc., being produced by the host's body. So, that is one thing. And along with all of this that's caused by COVID, there's fear of COVID, right? Like, what might happen if I get COVID? Then how will my family members manage, that kind of stuff.
So, Sarthak, what is that one message that you would want to give people with rare medical illnesses? on COVID and also on how they can take care of themselves during this time, during the pandemic, and even after. And given that you have been able to achieve so much, in spite of the challenges that you have faced over the years, in spite of DMD, which is very aggressive in terms of the muscular dystrophy hierarchy, although there is no comparison among medical conditions, but it is a very aggressive disease. What is that message that you would want to give people, and how would you want them to sort of navigate chalky waters, navigate the very difficult time that all of us are seeing during the pandemic?
So, see, as far as encouraging youth, I would like to put out two quotes by like two famous people. One is by Nelson Mandela. So, Nelson Mandela said, the the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time you fall. So, relating that to my life, I would like to say, like, as I said, one by one, I had more and more difficulties, but still I rose up above that. And that's why I became so successful. So, I would like to tell them that you, whatever dreams you have, just go forward and achieve them. And obviously, whenever you're doing anything, obstacles will arise. So you have to get over that. And regarding this, there's a famous quote by Malati Holla. She's one of the Paralympics from Karnataka. So she said that whenever you're on a wheelchair, there's a there's a stone ahead of you. What normal people do is they jump above the stone, but we have to reroute ourselves and go. That is, turn around the stone. That is there. And every time to achieve a bigger goal, you should always make it into smaller chunks. Like, see, first I told you that I was hoping for a school, and then after I got that 10th, then PUC, MBBS, MD, that way. And see, Steve Jobs, from the founder of Apple, he said that our life is very short and we mustn't live somebody else's life. See, because many times I've seen that people with rare disease want to achieve something, but other people say, no, you can't do it. Please do this. It is simpler, that way. Another Stephen Hawking's quote that, people are in this world for a particular purpose. And see, when you know what your purpose in life is and you follow that, you will definitely be successful.
So I'll add another quote to your Stephen Hawking library, I guess, simply because it has inspired me throughout my journey. And Stephen Hawking literally said that no matter how bad life seems, while there is life, there is hope. And I think that is a beautiful thought to end this conversation with. Thank you so much for your journey and for all that you're doing and will continue to do for people, as well as for people who have DMD. Because I think you are a shining beacon of and a shining light on people with muscular dystrophy all over the world, not just India. The grit and determination that you have shown to just go ahead, irrespective of the kind of challenges, irrespective of the stones that you are talking about, you have rerouted and re-navigated to reach there. And that's just beautiful. That's a learning that all of us will take back from this conversation. Thank you so much.